is that all these different tabernacle, there's many parts, and yet they're all used, and as it says, to be one single unit. All of these parts are to be one single unit, like one single unit, you know? And that's how we're supposed to be too. We're supposed to work together as team, as a tabernacle, one single unit, right? And that's what it means to, in effect, be in the image of God. See, even though Adam sinned, there's still desires that has the desires to do God's will. That's what the image of God is His will in our lives. Adam did his will up until the point where he didn't. Same with Eve. And that's where we come along with Yeshua, giving us, pointing us in the right direction, showing us the way to walk, the halakha of salvation, the way to walk. That we have to look at that. We have to see how he did things. Okay, that he's preparing us for the kingdom here on earth, so that when he comes back, he's going to gather his people and those from the nations who have taken hold of him, taken hold of the Torah, God's seed, which is on Yeshua, just like the woman with the issue of blood did and was healed. And he's going to gather them, bring them all to Israel, to Jerusalem. And together we're going to partake in the building of the third temple. Okay? And from there, he will go and conquer the nations. But as we read in here too, is that in Ezekiel 36, that God isn't just doing this for us. He's not doing it for Israel. Israel has been in the nations, and even those who say that they're part of the church, we've been profaning God's name, right? You know, the third commandment is do not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Well, what does that really mean? What does it really mean? What does it mean to take God's name in vain? I mean, we have ideas, we have things we've been told, but really, what is it? It tells us here. The house of Israel lived in their own land. They defiled it by their manner of life and their actions. Their way before me was like the uncleanness of Nidah. It's a monthly cycle of a woman, right? And it's the book that's unclean. And it's actually even the word clean. Not pure. It's impure because blood makes a person impure, not a sin, not or anything like that. It just makes you impure. You can't bring a offering to the tabernacle or the temple and that type of stuff. You can't touch holy things. That's all it means. But so they made themselves unclean in that way. Therefore I poured out my fear on them among the nations and dispersed them throughout the countries. I judged them in keeping with their manner of life and action. When they came to the profane holy name, so them, these are Adonai's people who have been exiled from his land. But I am concerned about my holy name, which the house of Israel is profaning among the nations where they have gone. He's concerned about his name. Concerned about his name. And what this refers to is his reputation. Just like Moses talked to God and said, look, if you destroy these people, what are the Egyptians and the other nations going to say? That you couldn't bring these people into the land that you promised. It's going to profane your name. It's going to reputation bad, right? And God says it. I'm concerned about your name. And that includes us. You know, if we of our ability, I mean, not follow it. But we got to be careful because in God, we have his name is on us, right? We are being a witness for him to others. And when we do things that other people see us doing that we know that we shouldn't be doing, it So if we go out tattoos, right? That's a bad reputation. It's saying, oh, God is fine with that. But yet, even though he said he wasn't, but we say, oh, it's fine. We don't have to do that. We don't have to listen to that stuff anymore.
And what was that? What is it? Jacob actually said to Levi and
Shimon,
he said,
made my name stink.
yes, among people, warriors or servants are usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jacob told his two sons, Levi and Shimon, after they had killed the Shechemites, after the incident with Dinah, that now that they caused his name to stink among the nations around there, and that he doesn't have many men and stuff like that to protect them, and so now the nations will rise up again. Of course, we know that God put the fear of them around the other nations and stuff so that they could get away. But the idea is reputation. Okay? Because even in that instance, Jacob had given his word. And now his word stinks. His word is good as far as they're concerned, right? And that's what we got to be careful of with God too, that we don't make his name stink, that we don't make his reputation stink. And there's several other stories in here that tell the same thing. And part of the one that is the most known is when David slept with Bathsheba, committed adultery, right? Well, what's the punishment for adultery?
Yes.
They both should die, right? But what happened? Because he tried to get her husband back to sleep with her because she was pregnant now because of it, and to cover it up, right? And then because he wouldn't, he had him killed. Murder on top of it, right? Adultery and murder, right? Bad Jew. Yeah. Punish him for. He says, because you have caused my name to stink before my enemies. My reputation soiled. The child that will be born to Bathsheba, your child. So David didn't die. He had to live with that. That's torture in itself, having to live knowing that it was because of you that somebody else had to pay the price, right? Because of you. That's not different than what Yeshua did for us, right? He died in our place. We shouldn't be happy that somebody else had to die in our place. We know it was a plan of God in order to bring salvation. But we really need to see it for what it really is that because of our sins, because of what we've done, an innocent man had to die in our place. Right? And so just like in this case with David, an innocent baby had to die in his place. Right? But with that brought repentance, brought salvation for David and his household, and also brought a second son, Shlomo, or Solomon, the Prince of Peace, right? Another picture of the Messiah. Because when Yeshua comes back, of the house of David, the son of David, he will be the Prince of Peace, right? He will bring peace to this world for 1,000 years. But the main thing I'm trying to get here is that reputation is very important. It says in Proverbs that a good reputation is better than gold. Right? A bad reputation goes before you. There's several other references to that in other places as well, especially in Proverbs. So reputation is important. If people can't trust you, they can't trust what you say, they can't trust what you do, why would they want anything to do with you? Right? If you lie and cheat, that's your reputation. And It takes a long time to fix the reputation. It's not just, you know, earn your trust or to get your trust earned by them again. A husband or a wife who cheats on their spouse, most of the time, but it takes the person who's been offended to rebuild that trust again, if it ever is rebuilt. That's how dangerous it is.
What they call it adultery, such a childish behavior.
It is. It's selfish. Adultery is selfishness. So when we look at things, we appear before people. I'm not saying that we're going to be perfect. We already know that we're not perfect. But people should see us in our lifestyle. They should see God in us. Just as Yeshua was asked, what does God look like? And he says, well, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. He's not saying, form right here, you've seen God. No, he's saying it in the works he does. If you've seen me, my works reveal God to you.
I was going to say, even because we're starting that new book in James, so even our words and stuff can.
Even our words.
Yeah.
Yep, even our words.
This goes back to the idea of Deuteronomy, which is an essence too. It's not just a word; it's the essence of something. It's the form of something.
Devar, yeah.
Devar is the Hebrew word for word, because God spoke it into being.
Yep. Exactly. So it's important. Even our words, yeah. Yaakov, James, the brother of Yeshua, the head of the Messianic community after Yeshua went back up, right, left them. He tells us the word is important to us. That if we don't control our tongues, then we are weak and perverted. But if we can control our tongues, then we are perfect in that sense. Because if we can control our tongues, talking about gossip and all these different things that go with it. Almost all countries, people in countries, they gossip. And sometimes we think it's funny when we make a joke about it, but gossiping and stuff can have a serious reaction to it. As it says in that book by Mark Kinzer, Taming the Tongue, that our tongue can either destroy or give life. We are, we are in the image of God in that sense, that our word has power, even though you may not think about it. I mean, I can't say to that table right there, change into a buffet, Not to have a lot of faith, but, but the thing is, I'm not going to go that way. A lot of food, yeah. But when we tell people, especially our children, you're worthless, you're ugly, that gets into them. And what does it do? It causes them to, why they have bad behavior and don't listen to you and stuff like that, right? That's for any. That's why we bless our children. That's why in Judaism, especially on Friday nights, when we're sitting at the table and doing the blessings, ushering in Shabbat, the father will go up to his children, lay his hands on his children, and bless them. Why? Because God has blessed us, and He's commanded us to do that, to bless our children, not curse them, not tell them they're worthless, stuff like that. Tell them that you love them and that they are worth stuff. They are smart. They are, what's from that movie, the Help, with that black lady. You're kind. You're smart. Right? And that's from the movie The Help. It's an awesome movie. If you've never seen it before. And she's right. This little girl, white girl, was just talked down by her own mother. But this help, not a slave, but she's a servant in the house. She's a help. Blessed her. Blessed her.
Don't let your focus be smarter than your mouth.
Yes, true. But and that's the power of words, right? It also has to do with reputation. You know, when we destroy somebody's reputation, I mean, especially through gossip and stuff, you know, gossip is the same as murder. Did you know that? Gossip, the evil tongue, can cause people to their lives to be destroyed, even to the point where even they take their own life. That's how powerful that is.
In the ancient world, and even not so long ago, it could even bring the death penalty.
Yeah. False witness. Witness, God says, don't be a false witness, right? One of the commandments. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor, number 9. Right? False witness. Again, most of the idea is that is that you're either jealous of the guy or whatever, but you don't like him, and so you lie. You bring a false witness against him. Just like those 2 witnesses against Yeshua brought a false witness testimony and took his words out of context. Okay? Took his words out of context. Just because they didn't like him, didn't like what he was saying and stuff, and there you go. The thing is, too, is the Torah talks about that if you're a false witness and you are found out that you're a false witness, punishment that you were trying to get this person with, you will be punished with. So that means that you're trying to get the death penalty. Guess what? You get the death penalty. That's how important this is. And the thing is, we know today that, you know, that's why it's so hard when somebody is accused of stuff in the paper, in the media and stuff. You know, we need to be careful with our judgment. We don't know what all is going on. I mean, there's some people who do, but I'm saying those of us, we just hear about it and we go, oh, man, really that guy? How do we know? We know a lot of people who have been falsely accused. And the thing is, once that happens, it's hard to take it away. It's hard. Sometimes it can cost a person their life.
That's the essence of cancel culture.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's part of cancel culture that we have today. And I know we got friends that a false accusation was made, and the repercussions of that false accusation is that they lost their son. And then it comes out later that it never happened.
Also, a certain senator in the state of Minnesota, whether you like him or not, you remember Al Franken.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of people, but yeah, but this family we know greatly, and we love them and stuff, and it's been something that's been in their heart. They've suffered with for a long time. So words are important. Reputation is important. They go hand in hand. We build a good reputation, a godly reputation. But you know, the adversary is going to try and smear us. The adversary is always trying to look for the dirt, right? And try and bring it before God and to Messiah, who is our lawyer. Saying, hey, look, this is what he did. Look, there it is. We got it right here. We got the dirt. Let's put it in the newspapers and on the news shows, right? Well, just think about those evangelists many years ago now. Famous evangelists that got in trouble doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. Help God's reputation. How many people turned away to that stuff? Or people that go out and say, yeah, Yeshua's coming on this such date, and they get a large following and stuff, and nothing happens. And then you never hear from these people again. What about that? Saying in God's name. Or somebody who calls himself a prophet or an evangelist, but yet believes that the Torah has been done away with, that Yeshua did away with it. I'm sorry, that's a false prophet, false evangelist.
What profit is in that?
Yeah, what profit is in that, right? Not life. So we really need to think about the way we live, how we live, how we do things, you know. This is a lifestyle. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. You know, we're just starting out on this stuff, right? We're just starting to live us, learning to understand these things. But as we learn it, as we understand it, and it comes to conviction in us, then we need to do it, right? Part of it, a reputation, right? Reputation. So it's not just his reputation he's trying to teach, he wants us that same reputation. You know? A business that does good and has a great reputation does a lot of good business. But it just takes that just one incident that can destroy. Was it? I was a Tire Lube Express manager at Walmart in Hibbing for several years. But when I took over, it had a bad reputation. And it did. They were doing maybe, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 cars a day for oil changes or tires. It was horrible when I took over. And I realized I had to rebuild the reputation. That even meant that in some cases I had to get rid of some guys that just, they didn't want to work. They weren't there. They did a piss poor job, you know. Tried to get them to do the right stuff, have the right attitude towards the customers. But when you got a mechanic yelling at a customer, done, you're done, you know. And we don't do that. And so I did have to start with getting rid of a couple people. But then we hired some good people. And pretty soon, by the time I ended there and moved on to another place after a few years, we were doing 30, 40, even 60 cars a day on tires and oil changes and other things. Because our reputation was good. People knew that we were doing a good job. Yep, goes out by word of mouth.
You know, that the overall, what is it, what's the word that I'm looking for, morale in the business was
Exactly,
better.
the morale was better, people enjoyed their jobs, and not only that, for 2 years in a row we had the highest profit for that side of the business in Minnesota for all the other stores that were around. So there's that, and that, see how it works. We had to the reputation, and once we did, people and get the work done right. We had good people who loved their job, everything. So reputation is very important, whether it's for business or for yourself. You know, people need to learn to trust us, to know that we can be trusted, that our word can be trusted, that what we say when we're talking to them about Yeshua and stuff, that it's true. And one of the blessings one of the prayers that we talk about is that God teaches us His truth. You know, back here, where is it? Can't exactly remember, but can I think of it? But part of it talks about our love for that He has given us. Is it here? Yeah, it might be here. Here.
Is that the one, He has loved us with great love?
Yeah. Is it back here? Anyways, yeah, where it says, I don't know why I can't remember where it's at, but He has loved us with great love, and that He would give us life, all these different things. He's given us these things, a love of life, of Torah, of all these different things. And that's what we need to just understand. We'll go back and find it later. But we really need to think about our reputation. It might be, yeah, maybe it's part of the Amidah. I think. But anyways, the thing is that we've got to realize that today churches and organizations who say that they live the biblical lifestyle, and yet they have a lot of things going on that the world looks at and goes, why would I belong to them? They do the same thing I do. What's the difference? And we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be set apart. Set apart. The word holy means set apart, right? That's what it needs to be set apart from the rest of the world. That's why God gave Israel the Torah, why he called them his special people. He gave them commands on how to dress, how to be to appear in appearance, how to love their neighbors as themselves, as how to treat their slaves, way different from what the nations were. Not to be like property, but to be human beings. Different thing. I mean, we see this. God has set us apart. He has set us apart to be a witness for him. And that witness is to show his reputation of love, but yet of mercy and compassion, but also that he's a severe God. When we disobey, when we sin, there are consequences, right? That's why God told Israel, he said, I lay before you blessing and curse. Right? So do good so that you can be blessed and live. The opposite is, if you do evil, then you will be cursed and you will die. And that's just it. So, the thing is, God doesn't send people to hell, if you believe in that thing, and that sort of thing, God doesn't send evil on people. Most of the times, it's our own decisions, are the things that we do that bring about these things, consequences. It's kind of like Einstein's theory of, is it relativity? That for every...
Oh, you're talking about
Newton's, yes. I always get them mixed up, yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they base...
It's based on the Torah.
So Newton saw objects in space where Einstein saw space itself, space-time itself.
Yeah. But for every... Yeah. So, every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
And also, an object in motion will stay in motion.
An object in motion will stay in motion unless another force acts upon it. Correct. And so you can think of that too, is that... Yeah. So, what you can think about this too is that when it comes to... We got Passover coming up in a couple of weeks, and we read this thing about Yeshua and... The high priest comes up and says, let's see, where is it at now? No. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, that's 11:47, which is right over here. Okay. Talking about the Sanhedrin, they call the and said, what are we going to do? For this man is performing many miracles. On this way, everyone will trust in him, and the Romans will come and destroy both the temple and the nation. Really? If he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, God's going to bless them. But whatever, they didn't. But one of them, Caiaphas, who was the Kohen Gadol, the high priest that year, said to them, you people don't know anything. You don't see that it's better for you if one man dies on behalf of the people so that the whole nation won't be destroyed. So he's actually prophesying, as it goes on to say here, not even realizing it. Passover is a culmination of that.
Yeah, and you get this in Hezekiah 14, actually. It's a different part. We read from 36 today, but
Yeah.
it talks about the, what is it, Ben Joseph, or the sons of Joseph. Ben Joseph.
Mashiach ben Joseph and
multiple people, and
Yeah.
as Yeshua said himself, there will be many
Yeah.
who come in my name.
Yeah.
And it's not about false prophets, it's talking about people who will come and will lay down their lives for this concept of Torah and Israel to build this consensus and bring us back to God.
Yeah. So when we look at this reputation, God brings about his reputation. And as we get ready for Passover, You know, it was during that time they're talking about going to Jerusalem to be sanctified, get ready for Passover, because it considered unclean or not purified. Okay, purification, because all the sacrifices that we talk about, you know, there is really no sacrifice for sin. It's a sin for purification. It's a sacrifice for purification. It's to draw us closer. All these sacrifices are what we call korban, which means to draw close. They're korban, to draw close. Draw close to who? To draw close to God. To get ourselves purified, to get us thinking in the right mode, the right thing. And here again it has the example of something dying in our place. Because in essence, when we lay our hands on it, in a way we are putting ourselves on that animal. Because we have to do it. You know, when we bring the Passover lamb up, we actually lay our hands on it. When we bring a sacrifice for sin, as we call it, a purification sacrifice in that way, a guilt offering, whatever these things are, we have to lay our hands on it because it's for us. And that in this case, this animal is taking our place. Okay? And also at Yom Kippur, when they take the Azazel goat, what's the word they use in English? The scapegoat. The scapegoat. That the high priest lays his hands on his head and confesses all the sins of Israel on it. So it goes in place of Israel out into the wilderness where it is killed. Okay? So all these are pictures. Even when Moses brought down the original stone tablets and he broke them at the bottom of the mountain, and then he had to go up with a new set that he carved himself so God could write on it again. The suffering Messiah. Yeshua is the Word of God. He is the Ten Commandments. He is the Torah. And in order for us to, Israel wasn't ready for the Ten Commandments, for the 10 utterances. And then Moses had to bring those back up, or bring a new set up and get them written down, right? Or the water. God told him, strike this rock here for water. Well, later on, he says, talk to it, right? You don't have to strike it, because there's no need to strike it. You just have to talk to it, right? Just like we got to talk to God, talk to Yeshua. Hey, you know, we don't need, the suffering is done. It doesn't need to be suffered anymore. It's already been paid, right? All right, so as we go this week, I just really want you guys to think about, you know, as thoughts, our words, our deeds, you know. How much do we glorify God in those things? How much of a witness are we? How much do we profane His reputation, or even our own? You know, I mean, it's just, none of us are perfect. I get that. But just think about it. Just observe, you know. It's important because God is here with us. And that's what we need to think about, that God is an awesome God, and He is a God who will reward the righteous, but He will judge the wicked. There will be judgment. So where do you stand, you know? I mean, be humble. Realize that God is not just a God of love, but He is a severe God. A God who will mete out justice. A God who will give reward to the righteous and condemnation to the wicked. And we need to know, what side are we on, really? You know, and it even says that He will take our words and we will be judged by those words, right? Our deeds, not just words, but deeds, because part of doing words is a deed. You know, we say it, then we do it. Kind of like Bill Cosby used to say in one of his comedian things. First we say it, then we do it. So anyways, that's what I just want us to really think about. Because, you know, I want to be part of the first resurrection. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to live to see this. I have no idea. But if I don't, I definitely want to be part of the first resurrection, because that'll be the resurrection of the righteous. I don't want to partake in the resurrection, the second resurrection, because then I'd have no idea where I stand, right? I mean, there'll still be good people that will be judged righteous at that time, but a lot of it's going to be people who have died now in wickedness, but also have died during the time of the Messianic era, you know. So, yeah, we need to know. But don't be proud. Don't be thinking that you've achieved it, you know, as a famous rabbi said. Never think that you've achieved the goal. Always think that you're still striving for it, that you're still below it. You still need to make it. Don't think yourself righteous. Always think of yourself as still working towards that. Okay? So, all right, so if you'll bow your heads for the priestly blessing. Our God and God of our fathers, bless us with the threefold blessing in the Torah written by the hand of Moses, your servant, and pronounced by Aharon and his sons, the priests, your holy people, as it is said. May the Lord bless you and protect you, if you will. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and grant you peace. Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Have a peaceful rest of Shabbat and a Shavua Tov, a good week. Tuesday night Torah Club at 7, and Wednesday night our Wednesday night study at 7. We're going through Mark Kinzer's book, Taming the Tongue, which I think is very important. It's one of the weaknesses that we have as human beings. And then our community Passover Seder will be on April 13th. Start gathering at 6 so we can make sure everything is set up and stuff, and then hopefully by 7 we'll be able to start. So that's how it's going to be. It's a potluck. Don't bring anything with leavening or yeast in it, but come to enjoy and to understand Yeshua and what Passover is about and why we continue to celebrate it. So, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Good Shabbos, everybody.